Minister, I do want to welcome the opportunity to speak on this bill today, and I say that because, as having been a member of this House only since February, vast amounts of time in this chamber are spent and controlled by the opposition, I believe, in misleading many people out there that this government does not protect the most vulnerable in our society. And I think from the first days in which the programme for government were being put together, that has been a core objective of the government of Fianna Fáil, of Fine Gael and of the Green Party. And the passage of this bill gives us an opportunity to reflect on the facts of that, not the social media spin, but the facts. There's been a 41% increase in the planned spend on social welfare in 2020. That's not 4 or 14, but 41. The social welfare bill is the largest amount, Minister, you bring through this House, the largest amount ever to have been brought through in the history of the state. And there's so many measures in it which the government have taken, which I could spend time welcoming. But I particularly want to welcome the decision not to increase the pension age. And I too would like to credit those involved in the Stop 67 campaign. But I also want to credit the government TDs in this House who voted for it, as opposed to those in opposition who will vote against this bill. It's a core commitment of my party to ensure that older people are protected, and I believe that after a lifetime of hard work, it is what they deserve, and I have a great pleasure in voting for it in this chamber this week. The bill also includes an increase in the living alone allowance. People who receive the living alone allowance are often mainly pensioners and those with a disability, and they'll receive an increase of €5, bringing the payment up to €19 per week. That's 221,000 vulnerable people who benefit from an increase. And yes, it does not apply to every pensioner, because we've had to prioritise. And we've prioritised those who are the most vulnerable, those living alone. A progressive and practical decision. And I also want to welcome the increase of €150 in the carers support grant, raising the payment to €1,850. That's 130,000 carers who will benefit from the increase next year. Another progressive and practical decision. Included in this bill is the reduction in the waiting days from 6 to 3, so that claimants can be paid illness benefit or injury benefit from the 4th day of illness or injury. And this measure will be an improvement in the insurance coverage of ordinary workers, reducing the financial burden of the absence from work due to illness, many of them in this year. I also believe we need to go further in this measure, and I welcome the Taoiseach's commitment to do so. Despite battling a pandemic, as of yesterday, the Department of Social Protection and new Minister are paying €390 million in a December bonus to some 1.6 million people who are receiving long-term weekly welfare payments. This is about protecting the vulnerable in our society, and I believe it's another progressive and practical decision. I also want to welcome the people on the PUP payment for 17 weeks throughout this year, who will also receive this bonus.
Thank you.
The bill, of course, doesn't include many of the other supports which we've done this year, the Employment Wage Subsidy Scheme, the COVID Restriction Support Scheme, again, progressive and practical decisions which will protect the jobs of people, or the government's commitment in the grip of the pandemic to finalise pay restoration for workers, not the FEMPI cuts which were introduced, not just judges or politicians, as some in this chamber would have you believe, but every public servant in this country, starting with the lowest paid, a progressive and practical decision. What isn't said enough, I believe, is that this government is supporting the most vulnerable, while at the same time establishing itself as an outlier in Europe. Not an outlier in unfairness, as some would have you believe, but an outlier in regarding how we have managed the COVID virus. Ireland is now one of the lowest rates of coronavirus in the European Union, something which I believe this government can be proud of.
Thank you. Deputy Carol McNeill. Thank you.